Hi and welcome back to a new episode. Today's episode is about data types and mathematical operations in Python. As well, we will discuss about what is set, what is a list, what is tuple, what is range. For this I'm going to use the Spyder environment. Here we will have the variable explorer, here the Python console, that we can perform all the operations we have done so far in the like the operations in the Jupyter notebook or in the Python console. Okay, here, different operations we can perform in Python. 5 plus 5, we come here and just press this button here, or we select the line, or we just stay in the line we want to, the line 21 in this case, press F9, and we can perform 5 plus 5. Here there is an order of the operations, first the division, and here first we can perform 2 plus 2. Okay, that's the difference, and you can see the result right here. Multiplication, and the difference between this one and here, because 12.0, if you want to see it, and then the result is a float, it's a real number. Here we have two operations, 15 times slash 5 is 3. Why? Because this one is how many times 5 fits in 15. For example, if I say 18, 3 times, as well as 12, 2 times. 5 fits 2 times in 12. Okay, and the remainder, okay, let's see here. 15% 5, there's no remainder, right? Because 3 times 5 plus 0, it's equal 15. Okay. Okay, exponentiation. 5 to 3, 125, and here you can say this is the usual operations we perform in other programming language. Okay, let's see what is this. Actually, this is a logical operator. Okay, the XOR. Here, how to define a complex number? 2 plus 5j, this one is the imaginary number, of course, square root of -1, and then with this we define x like this, and then F9. Here I have to message. Here, as you can see, Python is telling me this is a complex number. Okay, it's a complex data, as you can see, and the value is 2 plus 4 times j. Right here we can see the different types of data we can work in Python. We use the function type. It's telling me complex. Okay, this could work with other kind of data. Yeah, of course. You say 5.0. It's a float, so you can see. Then, if other operations we can do, okay, we can have different values. For example, asking Python what is the minimum value between among these numbers, 5, 10, and 25. It's gonna be saved in x. As you saw, x was defined as a complex number, but right here I'm defining x as an integer. You see, type of data is an integer without saying previous statement to Python. Why? The maximum, you see, integer to this number, and as we saw before, as the operation we saw 5 to 3, the same function pow, it could be used for the same purpose. Print, of course, print x, and we can see here in the Python console the result is x. Print y, and how to combine some strings with mathematical operations. This is my string, my value is comma for separating, and right here Python is capable of executing this operation and printing at the same time. My value is 5 plus 25 equals 30, so, and then we can see the all the operations here printed. Okay, but there are so many more mathematical operations, and for that we will use the library math or module math. We define it as mh. Then here, once we have defined mh for math, we use mh dot, and then a series of functions appears magically in the screen. That's why I'm choosing Spyder for showing you these data types and objects for the simplicity and for the help. And then I select, for example, cosine of 5, f9, 0.28, and so on, right? For the square root, we will need calling this function square root of 3, 1.73. The number pi, we can use the number pi using the library math. I define it in this way, to x, and then we can see here x has the values 3.14 and so on. There are two different kind of logarithm, the natural logarithm log and the logarithm base 10. Logarithm of 3 is 1.09, logarithm base 10 of 3 is 0.47. Highest number after 1.4, in this case an integer number, it's 2. The same way we can find floor, so you can see 1.4 is going to be the opposite. It means 1. Here we can define, using the library and math, the exponential of -5, for example, and store it in A. As you can see, the result is a float number. We can see the value. And complex numbers, we can change from one data type to other one in Python easily without defining, as for example in C++, which kind of data type is the variable A. Here we use the factorial easily. Remember that the factorial is the multiplication of the number with its previous integers, 3 times 2 times 1. So there are different types, as I mentioned before. Type for A is an integer, X is a float, and we also can set some data types to other one. For example, here 3 is an integer, but however we can transform it to a string. So you can see Python automatically convert it to a string. Here you can see, you know that 3 is an integer, however Python converted to a string, str. And integer of 20.5, we can transform this float number to an integer just using the function int. So easily, so easy. And here we see, you can see this is a character. However, the function int is capable of transforming this string or character to an integer. These are the ways for transforming different data types to other ones. Float 20.0. Okay, and here the function complex. If we don't define using letter j, right, the imaginary number, so we can use the function complex to transform two variables. For example, 1 over 1 could be a number. However, we transform it to a complex, and there we have 1 plus 1j, the imaginary part and the real part. Here, bool. What is bool? It means boolean, right? There are 4 answers or 2 options for that. 1 and 0. That means true and false. Bool 0, what does it mean? False. And on the contrary, 1 is true. We transform one integer to a boolean type. Then bool of 2 is true. In this case, because it's a positive number, let's see a negative number. True. -3, true. Only 0 is converted to false. And here, now we discuss about the data types, but there are other things or other objects, not only numbers, in Python. They are called objects. There are different objects like lists, tuples, sets, data frames, and so far. Okay, let's talk about tuple. What is a tuple? What are the advantage of using tuple? Let's see different way to define a tuple. Here I have two different strings, my and tuple, and I define this structure using the word tuple. Let's see here. We can see that X is transformed to a type of object called tuple, and it has two values, my and tuple. The same way we can define something called set, and we will discuss the difference between a tuple and set, not only by using the word tuple or the word set. Let's see set. Can you see when I define set using parentheses, but when Python printed using these braces, Python is telling us that we're working with a set. Okay, here I'm defining a set using these braces here. Okay, there are more, of course, as I mentioned, dictionaries, lists, bytes, and so other more objects that we will work in this course. Okay, let's see. I already showed you some data, some objects, but what is a tuple, right? A tuple, as you see, was a collection of objects, in this case values, my and tuple. However, it's ordered. We're gonna respect, this is gonna be the index 0, this is gonna be the index 1, but it's unchangeable. That means that if I define tuple 1 as this, it has 5 values, but if I want to see, for example, the first element, tuple 1, and then I try to access to the first element, remember in Python it starts with 0, it's telling me ABC, and now I want to change it. For example, let's see here, tuple 1 is 34, and I want to increase it to 35. But Python is telling me tuple object does not support item as assignment. So, as definition, a tuple is going to be a collection, an ordered collection, but unchangeable. Here I define X like this, but I cannot change any more X. Okay. And here, what it could be this object. Let's see what it says. See, tuple. That means that we have two different ways to define an object as tuple, using the word tuple, it's here, using parentheses, and inside our collection of values, and also we can use just only parentheses and separate them by commas. Here you can see me, for example. I define C as all this collection, and okay, I had to transform all my tuple to insert a new value. In this case, let's see, 2. I try to transform this, and I cannot. As you can see, the mention here, the error. Okay, and what is the difference with set? Of course, we define set using the braces. However, what else? Okay, if a tuple was an ordered collection, a set is an ordered collection, and we can have different values, or with the values with the same Here a set is a collection but is ordered. That means that it's indexed, and we cannot have duplicate members. For example, I'm going to show you that I using braces, not using the word set as I used before here, to transform this collection. Remember, here we have a new set, defining this set, and if I want to add again lemon, for example, you see I have to duplicate members. And where we will see the difference in lemon, banana, apple, cherry. You see first that lemon is in the first position, not in the fourth position as I define it. Let's see. Here you see that the set was unaltered. It didn't change at all because I was adding a duplicate member. Okay, that's the difference between tuple and a set. One is ordered and unchangeable, and the other one is unordered but without duplicate members. And also we can define it using the function tuple, set, as well as using parentheses and the braces. There we have discussed two different objects in Python that we will use in multiple lessons. For finishing this video, we're going to talk about assigning variables. Here we are going to use equal for assigning, but not only we can assign one value at a time, we can add to multiple variables the same value as I define here in this line, and you can see x, y, and z now have the same value, the same string, but also I can define multiple variables with multiple values in one single line, just using comma for separating the different variables in different values, and the result is showed here. X, y, and z have different values, and this is it. This is our first video of the series tutorial course on data science with Python. Hope you like it.